Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Arning, Director of Communication for Stewart Haas Racing. Want to thank everyone for taking the time to come into the Media Center here at Daytona International Speedway. Up on the dais, I'd like to introduce Brett Frood, President, Stewart Haas Racing, Greg Zipadelli, Vice President of Competition, Stewart Haas Racing, Mike Bogaravich, Crew Chief, the number 14 team of Stewart Haas Racing, and Brian Vickers, our interim driver, the number 14 Chevrolet, throughout Daytona Speed Weeks. Really what this is more of a media availability. Everyone up on stage has a lot to do, particularly our crew chief. So please take advantage of this time. The garage area opens at noon. We want to allow these folks to do everything that they need to do once that garage area opens. So we'll go ahead and open the floor to questions. Folks are running mics. Please just state your name and affiliation, and we'll try to get everyone's questions answered as quickly as we can. We'll start with Bob.
Bob Hocker, ESPN. Brian, when did you get off the blood thinners, and did you have to do anything differently to get approved this time than you had before?
So the biggest thing is, I've worked with my doctors for the last year. We talked about this in California, trying to find the right plan that works for me to be able to race safely and keep me protected from clots. And, I've worked extensively with my physicians on that and found a plan. And then really beyond that, I was just living my life and waiting for the right opportunity. I told myself that, if I was going to come back to racing, particularly in the Sprint Cup Series, I wanted to be in a car that I was confident could win when I walked into the garage. And, it's unfortunate that this is the car I'm in because that means Tony's not here. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for Tony. I can understand what he's gone through. Unfortunately, I can very much understand what he's gone through the last few years and this whole team. It's as hard on these guys as anyone. So I hate that he's not here, but I'm honored to keep his seat warm until he gets back. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Tony and wish him a quick recovery.
We'll go with Alan and then down here to the front.
Alan Cavana, Fox Sports. Brian, just to be clear, were you actively searching for another ride? Obviously, this opening was a surprise to everyone. So had you actively been searching for another Cup ride or racing ride, for the last few months or so? Or
I've been focused on some other stuff for the past year. Obviously, I let everyone know that I'm, once I worked with my doctors on a plan that would let me race, that I was available for the right opportunity. But it was only gonna be a winning car. And going into 2016, pretty much all of the best cars were the seat was taken. So I was happy to wait. I'm a patient guy. What my racing career, if you asked me 6 months ago what my racing career looked like, I had no idea. And, what I wasn't going to do was get in something that I didn't feel like when I walked in the gate that I could win in. But what I did tell myself I was going to do was I was going to race again one day. It may not have been here, it may not have been in Daytona, it may not have been in Sprint Cup Series, but something. I love racing. I love being in a car. I love going fast. Maybe it was sports cars. I had a lot of fun in sports cars, and I still wouldn't rule that out. I'd love to drive them again someday. But this opportunity came up, and as soon as I got the call, they said, can you race? I said, absolutely. I would love to. And, it's pretty special. I wasn't sure if I would ever be in the Daytona 500 again. And, here I am. So it's an honor. And I couldn't be with a better group of guys and team and car. I've definitely got to thank everyone on the stage for helping me get here. Everyone at Stewart Haas Racing, Gene Haas, and everyone, Tony Stewart, for wanting me to go in this car. And it goes without saying, obviously, Bass Pro Shops and Mobile One for allowing me to sit in this seat. It's a big seat to fill, but I'm gonna do my best.
We'll go with Kenny, Lee, and then Jim.
Kenny Bruce from NASCAR.com. For Brett and or Greg, we hear drivers talk about the unlimited and what you can and can't learn in that, whether it's valuable or not, the dangers of tearing up a car, the dangers of getting injured. What was the reasoning behind going forward with putting Brian in the car for that, and instead of just focusing solely on the 500?
Well, anytime you have an opportunity to race, we're going to take it. We're competitors as a group. Gives gives Brian an opportunity to get back in the seat, gives Mike an opportunity to work with Brian, gets our crews and everybody to kind of to gel. We've had a lot of changes, but first and foremost, we come here to win as a group. So it gives us our best chances to put Brian in the 14 car, and we had that opportunity to run. So we certainly, why wouldn't we?
Brett, were there sponsorship concerns?
Not necessarily. No, as Zippy said, it was getting seat time, getting our new crew together, and having the opportunity to go out and win.
Lee?
Lee Spencer, Motorsport.com. Brian, we've seen you on Xaralto commercials more than we've seen you at the racetrack of late. But are you still associated with Xaralto? Do you still have to do maintenance? And, what do your blood levels have to look like to be deemed safe enough for you to race?
So, I'm very proud of my partnership with as you mentioned, Janssen Xaralto. It's really a focus around bringing awareness to blood clots. Something unfortunately I've had to deal with for a long time. That partnership is still in place, and I'm proud of that. We're raising awareness in a lot of different ways, particularly this coming next month, March, Blood Clot Awareness Month. As far as my personal medical situation is I've worked with, as I said earlier, I've worked with my physicians extensively. Some of the best guys in the world. The guy that I've worked with for some time now, Dr. Moll, along with many others, Dr. Frank Pidcock, and several other guys. I spent some time at the World Hematology Conference last summer working with them on some solutions, but I've worked extensively with them to find the right solution for me to keep me safe, in the car and out of the car.
We'll go with Jim, and then over in the corner with Stan.
Jim Utter, Motorsport.com. A quick question for Zippy and for Mike. Zippy, if you could just kind of talk a little bit more about how you guys settled on Brian to begin with, unlimited or 500.
Yeah, obviously when you're in a situation, you look at who's the best candidate, who has experience. We looked at his record from restrictor plate races. We looked at everybody that was available. And, we talked to Tony, and we felt like Brian was would fit our group the best. We've got Billy that has worked with him. We've got Rodney who has worked with him, spoke very highly of him. Obviously, we've raced against him. We know he's a good competitor. And, we just looked at what was our best chances to perform here at Speed Weeks.
And for Mike, you obviously starting off as a Cup crew chief. We're planning to start with Tony on his last year. 2 weeks before you're going to start, you get thrown this. Can you talk a little bit about what the preparation has been and how the rest of the organization has kind of helped you get to today?
Yeah, at the end of the day, our job as a team is the same. We're trying to build the best cars we can and go out there and compete, perform the best we can, get every point we can every day, and compete for wins. So that perspective, it hasn't changed. Obviously, there's a little bit on the seat side of things and driver comfort and so forth, but the whole organization at Stewart Haas has a lot of great people that have really come together and worked hard over the past few days to really make this happen.
Okay, Stan?
Yeah, Stan Creekmore with RPMTonight.com. Mike, kind of a similar question, but how much conversation have you had with your new driver to make sure that you all are really close together in what you need to do?
Well, obviously it's been quite limited, but we've been texting a lot. We went to lunch one day, went to dinner one night, so it's going to keep continuing to grow throughout the week. The good news is it's Speed Weeks. It's a little more relaxed in some senses. You have a lot more time to take your approach at the 500. So I think we'll be well prepared by the time we get to the 500.
Okay, we're going to come back here on this side to, Jerry and then Claire.
Jerry Jordan, Performance Racing Network, and Kicking the Tires. Brett, for you or Greg, can you talk about the fluidity of this situation with Tony? We saw him, working out on the treadmill a while ago. What are his plans, and how long is this deal with Brian? And does Tony have any other surgeries or anything like that that he needs to do before he can come back?
Yeah, no surgeries. Obviously Tony had a impactful injury, and the surgery was very important, and the rehabilitation and the healing process. You've seen pictures. I think he was on Periscope today on the treadmill, ready to go. He was itching to get in the car about 2 weeks ago, and he's itching to get in the car again. So we're taking it day by day. We don't have a timetable right now.
It's gonna be up to his doctors and how quickly his bone's healing. And I know that it won't be for a lack of effort on his part to get back in the race car. As far as Brian, right now obviously the situation is fluid. A lot of different scenarios and tentacles to every decision we're making. So we wanted to focus on speed weeks, give ourselves the best opportunity to come in here and win tomorrow night, win the Daytona 500, and then we'll figure out Atlanta and the rest, and hopefully get Tony back in the car as soon as possible.
And we'll go here to Claire.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Brian, I played a clip on the air last night of you last spring at Auto Club talking about getting out of the car, and you said, I love racing. I don't love it more than my wife. It's not my whole life, but it's what I want to do, and I'm going to come back. And it was pretty powerful. What kind of a story is this, that you were able to come back, get this opportunity, and race, at Daytona?
Well, I guess everybody's perspective is different. But for me, it's huge. I didn't think, I wasn't sure if I would ever race again. And especially at that moment in time. As the year progressed and as I started working towards finding solutions to make it a possibility, I realized that it was very much a possibility. And it was the last 5-6 years of my life have been, a roller coaster, to say the least. As race car drivers, we're obviously willing to take a certain level of risk. But what I'm not willing to do is take undue risk, and I'm not now. That's the reason, my doctors approved me to come back racing with the plan that we developed. So I can't wait to get back in the race car. For me, it's one day at a time. I mean, I've learned, so many times that you can only plan so far ahead, and you just live life to the fullest. You enjoy it. You make reasonable decisions. Everyone's risk tolerance is different, but, I love what I do. I love this. I'm going to love what's next, whatever that may be. And right now I'm just focused on enjoying the Daytona 500. I think a lot of these guys get in these cars and they're so caught up in the moment, in the future, and everything else, they don't, stop to think that it may be their last time, and just to kind of really enjoy it. And I can assure you, when the green drops next Sunday, I'm going to enjoy it as much more than anyone on that racetrack. And, if I've got another 5 or 10 Daytona 500s in me, then great. And if it's the last one, that's fine too. I'm very fortunate. I have gone through a lot, but I've learned so much through all those experiences as a person and grown, and I couldn't be happier in my life. And as you mentioned, my lovely wife, who has supported me through so much the last couple of years, I do not envy her situation. I think I've put her through more than she certainly ever deserves. But she has not wavered. She supported me. She obviously wants me to be safe as much or maybe more than I do. But she also wants me to be happy, and I'm happy right now. I'm loving it. I'm back, and I can't wait to work with these guys. I've spent some time with Mike. Great guy. I'm actually excited that it's his first race as a crew chief. We're going to grow together. We're going to learn together. It's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully we're going to put this Bass Pro Shops Mobile One in Victory Lane. It's a pretty cool opportunity. So,
Okay, we'll go with Tom.
Hi, Brian. Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. Congratulations on getting the ride. Being out of the seat for almost a year and coming to a new team, coming to the most high-profile race of the year. What do you think your biggest challenges are, and how long will it come back to you?
Yeah, good, fair question. I 5 years ago I said I don't know. Having done this several times now, I feel like I have a pretty good feel for it. Unfortunately, as Rodney and Mike and I were talking the other day in the shop, Rodney thinks he's not sure that I don't race better when I've been off for 12 months. We had, I don't know, a string of top fives and a win, after being out of the seat for a while and running part time. So, there's certainly something to experience and seat time. There's no question about it. But my first race in NASCAR was 2001. So I've been to Daytona before, and I learned a lot through those years, and I'm sure it'll take me, a half a lap or so to get warmed up. But I feel confident that from my past experience of being out of the car for 3 months or 6 months or even up to 11 months before, I don't think it'll be a problem at all.
Okay. Jordan, did you still have a question? Okay. Chris, and then we'll go back. Chris, Bob, and then Lewis.
Chris Knight, catchfence.com for Brett. Are you at liberty to discuss the other potential candidates that were considered for Speed Weeks 2016?
I suppose I'm at liberty. There was plenty of candidates and a lot of good racers out there, a lot of young racers, but ultimately we came here to win, and we feel the guy to my right can get it done for us, and that's where we ended up.
Bob Parker, CSPN. A couple for Brett. Is there a reason why you just haven't named Brian the interim for beyond this week? Are you looking at other drivers, or was it just the quickness that you had to get it done? And then also, do you have a charter yet for the 41? And if you did, how much did you pay for it?
Always ask these ones.
Right to the
I'll
point.
start with the last question. We're working through the finishing touches of the charter. The 41 will be on the track today. As far as what we paid for it, I mean, Rob's a fairly reasonable guy, well traveled, enjoys cars, fine dining. So we ended up coming to an agreement. We're going to give him lifetime supply of Mobile One for his cars. And we're going to deliver Jimmy John's and Busch beer for the next 2 years. Good deal. What was the first one?
Why not just name Brian the interim driver for the entire
It's fluid. Want to understand the timing on Tony first, and then obviously we've got multiple partners and different considerations with our respective sponsors. So still working through that. Don't be surprised to see Brian in the car again, and we may also have other drivers. So we'll let you know when we get to that point.
Lewis?
Louis Frank of Reuters. Brian, taking Tom Jensen's question one step further, what's the biggest challenge of getting back in the car and running 500-miler next Sunday?
Staying out of the big one. Yeah. I talked to the guys about it. I said, man, I don't know how you feel about this, but I'm not down for the ride in the back thing. I think we just go to the front and stay there. That's kind of my plan. I don't know what, I've stayed in great shape. I've always been a fit person, an active person. I spend a lot of time outdoors. I hike a lot, climb a lot, ski, fish, hunt actually, it was one of the first questions I got. So, do you hunt or fish? I was like, yes, I do quite a bit actually. So I usually do some big game hunting, every year, and do a lot of fishing, particularly fly fishing. But I love to hike and climb. So I was training for. I was already training for a skinning trip. Skinning is where you hike. Basically, you put skins on the bottom of your skis and you hike up the mountain and then ski down. So we had this, myself and some friends had this Alaskan trip. We were going to do about 6,000 to 8,000 feet a day for 8 days. And then this fall, in September, I've got a climb coming. It's called the Grand Traverse. And it's in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And you hike, or you climb / hike all 10 peaks in the Grand Teton chain in 3 days. So I feel pretty good about the fitness level getting in the car. As far as the ability to drive, again, like I said, I've been in this position before. I feel very comfortable getting in the car after being out for a while. It's never seemed to faze me in the past. Is it possible that this time is the one that catches me? Maybe, but I find it highly unlikely. I feel very comfortable in a car. I've been doing it for a long time. I think it's very much like riding a bike. And if anything, I feel more rested than every single person in this garage, more hungry than every single person in this garage, happier to be here, more appreciative. And I think all of those feelings and those experiences and things I've learned will only contribute to success, not failure. So I feel good about it. I'm pumped. It's a great opportunity. And, it's funny, I started my career in in a Hendrick Chevy, and now I'm back in one.
So you probably take this 2 steps at a time in the New York subways still.
Yes. yeah. Last time we bumped into you was getting on the subway. I was headed to work. So, that was. We I don't know if any of you don't know, we ran into each other all the time in New York. So, like completely random places, like just getting on subways. So yeah. No problem.
Any other questions? Again, now is the time, specifically for Mike. He's got 2 cars that he needs to get through tech starting in the next 10 minutes. So if there are questions, let's go ahead and get them here. Otherwise, we'll let these guys go.
You say that like we don't have anything to do.
You've got an even deeper schedule after this.
Yeah, Stan
Stan.
Creekmore again with RPM tonight. Brian, you set out most of last year and everything. The cars are different. They're back to where they were when you first started in NASCAR. Do you think you're going to really love what this car does out there?
I asked Mike the same thing, and he said it's awesome. So he said it's a great car. It's going to win. It's going to be fast. The rules change a lot over the years. And, I think when you're out there, you think about the rules before you get on the racetrack. You think about what's changed. Where's the spoiler? Where's the shift in balance and downforce, et cetera. But, once you're on the racetrack, it's, you take it to the edge and it's either loose or tight or it's good. And, Mike said it's going to be perfect. So I'm not worried about it. Isn't that right?
Sure.
And this is for Mike. This is Bob Hocker, CSPN. Can you just talk about the challenge of, possibly working with 2 drivers over 2 or maybe more even drivers over the next few weeks, and how do you are you doing anything like for that Tony has requested as far as like trying to see how the cars handle in certain situations so he's better prepared when he comes back?
I think the biggest challenge with different drivers is just you kind of go through the weeks trying to learn what that guy likes and things he doesn't like, and kind of establish that rapport. And when it gets broken up, it definitely makes it a little bit more challenging. As far as addressing with Tony, I sent him a text message the other night to keep me in the loop on anything I need to be thinking about for the upcoming races. Give me his feedback. He's been doing this a long time. He's a 3-time champion, and he's helped a lot of people in this sport, and he can help me every day as well. So look forward to hearing from him.
Any other questions? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. We certainly appreciate it. Have a great Speed Weeks.